Shelley, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. District 1, Councilman Rios.
Here.
District 2, Councilman Pastor. District 3, Councilman Leatham is excused. District 4, Vice Mayor.
Shelley, turn your mic on.
Thank you.
Here.
District 5, Councilwoman Giles.
Here.
Mayor Gumeros.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Please join me in prayer. Lord, we ask for your healing over all those who have been affected by COVID. We ask that you bless all our staff and our council and all our residents as we continue to deal with COVID and now with all of our fires that are around us. Please protect all the firefighters as they protect our property. Amen.
Amen.
Charlene,
Amen.
join us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the
And to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we'll start with summary of current events, and Charlene, we'll start with you.
Yes, amen to thanking firefighters. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know what else we can say, but we're sure blessed. A while back, we had the Humane Society here to talk to us about the feral cat problem. We all know we have a huge feral cat problem in downtown. They asked for a year's stay on the no feeding of the cats downtown and what have you to initiate this program. So I don't even think we're 6 months into it, and there have been 240 feral cats that have been spayed or neutered through the High Desert Humane Society. This is such a huge deal. We've got about 1,000 just in the downtown and the neighborhood areas, so we're a quarter of the way there. And thank you so much to them. These folks are all volunteers. They don't get paid. They drive down to the valley. They spend the whole day. It takes that long to drive down there and they take 10 cats at a time. They all have to get fixed, and then they have to bring them all back. So that's a really dedicated group of individuals over there. And then I just want to touch on the library's walking club, because that's such a good thing for our community. And I'm not such a virtual person, but this is really convenient, because my friend and I that walk in the morning early, and the 6 o'clock thing was so hard. It's people's dinner time, or they just got home from work, or they're just plain tired, whatever the case may be. So this is a cool thing. You can do it on your own time. It's not set days of the week. It's just 3 days a week, I believe, correct? So any 3 days you pick, you can do it. They started with 20 minutes and they're ending at almost an hour. So that's great. You're just building your stamina up, and it's great for our whole community. And you can, if you haven't signed up, you can sign up at the Globe Public Library's Facebook page. And the library ladies are really good about rah-rahing you and passing the information on. And so this is what you got from the Mustache Dash was the spring walking club. You got this cool little medallion that they made. So, and they give some really nice prizes. The United Fund helps this program, and so this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, if you participate, you really have a good chance at winning some really nice, high-quality stuff and get healthier in the meantime. And then lastly, I just want to touch on the summer youth program. So along with everything else that's gotten funding cuts and what have you, so has the summer youth program. This is what they did. This was last year's summer youth picture, what they did, the play they put on. And they are no, if you can't afford to send your child, they find a way to pay. So nobody is excluded. There is a cost involved, but they don't tell the folks that maybe have 3 or 4 kids and the parents can't pay that much. They don't tell them they're not welcome. They find a way to pay it. So this just real briefly, this letter says, as expected, our funding has gone awry since the pandemic. Several granting agencies have pulled their grants for this year due to lack of funding. We have written several grants ourselves for art relief. We have received some money Our goal is to be able to do more with less, even if it means going deeper and smaller for a while. Thank you so much for being the children's cheerleaders and supporters. So if you can donate, great, please do. It's SYMPT, and it's Post Office Box 558, Globe, Arizona. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Shirley. Fernando?
I just have a couple things. First of all, I know that tonight we're going to recognize Adrea, but I just think she's been a fantastic asset to this community. And although she is going to be leaving the city, I know that she's going to continue to be an asset to this community. I just think it's amazing when you find someone that cares more about the community than they care about themselves, and it really shows in what she does. And I just really greatly appreciate her, and I hope her family and the people that know her are very proud of her, because I know I am. And I just, what else? I think that's about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had occasion to meet with one of my constituents groups in one of the local neighborhoods, and I've brought some issues to Paul, and we've talked about them, and he's going to look at them, so I appreciate that. Also, I had the opportunity, I was out walking with my dog, as I do pretty regular around town, and I was walking by the library, and I saw this gentleman slapping paint all over the wall over there, and I thought, what's this guy doing? And I went over and I realized it was Isaac Caruso, I believe his name, and he had indicated he had talked to you and you'd made arrangements for him to do a mural. And I had a very good, pleasant talk with him, and I was really pleased to see what he was doing, and I just think it's a good move that we did something like that. I know that I have a property in Queen Valley, and he did one down there, and he's done the one in Miami, and he's got several of them going, so I thought it was pretty interesting. Other than that, that's about all I've got.
Thank you, Mike. Freddie?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. I also want to recognize Adrea, Mary Helen, and Officer Haines. We're going to recognize them later this evening, but I want to personally thank all of you for your stellar work and your dedication to the city and the community. And I wish you the best of luck as you move forward. Also, I'd like to, I was reminded by one of a student that I coach basketball. She's here tonight, and I want to recognize her and thank her for being here, because I feel so special now. But I'm just, but I do want to kind of reach out to the students and let them know that, you know, this COVID thing, although it's got us kind of strapped into a unorthodox way of going to school and attending school and learning, but just know that this is going to pass. Okay, this is going to pass, and as young as you are in school, you're going to have a lot of regular school time ahead of you. So let's just work together to stay safe, mask up, keep your social distance, and all those guidelines that help keep us safe as possible. I think that's about it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a few shout outs. First of all, to PD and fire. We had another unfortunate fatality, car pedestrian accident by Circle K. Was that Saturday night or Sunday? Unfortunate, but quick response by PD and fire. So I just want to thank you guys for your quick response. And then another shout out to the Forest Service. We're surrounded by fires, and you guys are fantastic. So keep up the good job, and most importantly, be safe out there. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mike. I have a few things, so I'll try and get through them quickly. Again, yeah, I also want to congratulate Mary Helen on her retirement, Adrea on her moving on to another venture, and also Sergeant Haines for his promotion. I received an email from Michael Driscoll. I guess they're having the groundbreaking for the new animal shelter on September 1st at 1 o'clock. So it's out there, if we're able to, though. It's out by the fairgrounds. So time will tell. Also want to remind people, do your census. We're running short. We're down to 6 weeks.
Also want to remind people,
below 60%.
do your census.
There's people
We're
out
running
there
short. We're
door.
down to 6
Please
weeks.
do your census. That's
Below 60%. Do your census.
letters I'd like to quickly read that I received. One is from Mr. John Panic, and he addressed it to me, and it says, "I'm writing this email to just let you know of the great and tireless work of Michelle Yarkovich in the Code Enforcement Division. I really appreciate the thankless, nearly impossible job that she does every day trying to keep the city of Globe and its residents informed in compliance with the much-needed codes. Having been born and raised in Globe and finally retired here, I am very well aware of the good old boy days network that still sadly exists in our city. Still living in the 50s and 60s with a mentality, oh, it's okay to throw your garbage on the streets, have 5 broken down cars in your front yard, work on them 24 hours a day, keeping the neighbors up, or even worse, if you have friends or relatives in city government, then you get a green light to go whatever you want, whenever you want, with no consequences. Michelle and her crew are indispensable asset to this community if we ever want to get out of the 50s and in the 21st century and make Globe a place where people actually want to move to and raise a family and even retire like me. Please tell her to keep up the excellent, sometimes fruitless work because it is being noticed and very, very much appreciated." That's to our code enforcement, and thank you, Mr. Jan Pennick. The other one received is concerning economic development, and this is a thank you from Barb Holtzen. She's the owner of the Miami YMCA. Yesterday on the I Love Miami Facebook page, the owner of the YMCA in Miami shared the good news that the CC and R restrictions that prohibit overnight stays in the building will finally be lifted later this fall. This has been a long process to have these covenants removed so that the building can be sold and possibly used as a Airbnb. Barb thanked the key players, Zach Larson, Joe Heatherly, and Linda Arenero, and BHP Mine. She has been waiting for 15 years to have this done, and she said is greatly appreciated and thanked all who were involved. And this is huge because she's had a lot of investors and developers look at her building, but there was a restriction of overnight stay, and that really made it tough for anybody to buy the building. So hopefully the YMCA will be sold here in the near future. And one other, I just want to continue to thank our community for staying the course, wearing a mask, social distancing, and good hygiene. You know, I track numbers every day, and our numbers have come down in the month of August, and they have stayed steady at that low end. So whatever we're doing it right, and as long as we stay the course, we can get our businesses back open that are still closed. So thank you, Paul.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, double down on the census comments. We're 6 weeks left. Eventually, we'll start seeing census workers doing their follow-ups. So you still have time to go online, do by mail, all the different methods. But you will probably see census workers. Be friendly. They have big badges. They identify themselves and welcome them in and help them get the information they need so we can bring our tax dollars back to Globe. Just wanted a quick thank you and shout out to Jeannie, Jerry, and the team for doing a really quick turnaround on the WIFA loan application. They have that already submitted. There's a lot of work on that and a lot of forums, and I think they got it in. We got it back. That there were like 3 little minor corrections and got that in, so they made their deadline to get it on the meeting. So I know that the 2 departments pulled together really well to make that happen. I know there's we're going to talk a lot about the fire situation. I wanted a quick note about the air quality too. People who have respiratory problems stay indoors. And in thinking about that, I know I'm kind of old school. I look at websites, not Facebook, and so on the city website we do have, not only do we have a link to the Gila County Go order. We have some information on the Ready, Set, Go. We have the Griffin fire map, a link to all the fire maps, and the Globe smoke forecast that the Department of Air Quality puts out for the state. It has a lot of conversation. There's interesting conversation on the situation here in Globe that's kind of unique with the way the winds and weather, and so it's really causing some smoke issues. So all those links are available. Of all the resources you have, there are many. It's on the city website, and we also have a link to the fire Facebook and an actual really old school phone number you can call. So the public fire information phone line, 928-421-4536. I'm sorry, 4539. So, and, no, 9. What's that?
Tell me the number again.
Okay, let me try it again. I'm going to go slow. 928-421-4539. Okay. And that's the people with the rotary phones at home. Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's all I have.
Thank you, Paul. And I just want to emphasize the numbers on census. I should have mentioned that is $3,000 a year per person if you register for the census and for the next 10 years, that's the number you stick with. That's $30,000 apiece, a person per member in the household. That's a lot of money to our city. It helps us with our infrastructure, our resources, our social services, everything. So please apply if you haven't for your census. We go to community call to the public, and this is a time where people can call in at call in at 928-200-0154, or they can email in at council@globeaz.gov. You're given the opportunity to speak to us or make comments. You're limited to 3 minutes, but we have no calls at this time. Okay, thank you, Charlie. So our next one is special presentation and ceremonial matters, and I ask council if I can move item D to the top, only because we have District Ranger Adam Bromley here, and he has to get to a briefing at 7 o'clock, and he's going to give us an update on all the fires that are going around our city. So, District Ranger Adam Bromley.
Well, good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm Adam Bromley. I'm the District Ranger here for the Globe Ranger District on the Tonto National Forest. Thanks for having me in here tonight. It's been a busy week and a half now, I guess, here locally. Just to sort of paint the picture and what we're looking at from a national level, we're at preparedness level 5, which is the maximum level preparedness. There are currently approximately 38 Type 1, 2, and National Incident Management Organizations deployed across the country, primarily here in the western U.S. Last count, California had approximately 1.3 million acres currently actively being suppressed. And there's about 27,000 firefighters deployed across the western U.S. currently. With all that being said, that really paints the picture. It's tough to get resources. Resources are spread thin. Air resources are extremely thin. But locally here, we're looking at multiple fires. So the ones affecting Globe locally here are Salt, the Griffin, and Champion fires, as well as to our north, the Medicine Fire on Fort Apache, as well as the Medler Fire on Tonto Basin Ranger District, just to the north of the Salt River. So, smoke impacts are coming to us from a lot of different directions here in town, as well as the San Carlos Reservation, San Carlos, Paradox, Cutter, are all being heavily impacted with smoke. I think somebody spoke to air quality just a few minutes ago, and that's certainly one of the concerns. Originally we started last week. Many of these ignitions started with a lightning storm last Sunday and into Monday. We started initially with the Salt, the Griffin, the Gin fire, and then we've since added the Champion fire as well. Some of those fires have been absorbed together. The Gin grew into the Griffin fire for a current total of 42,040 acres across the Tonto National Forest, various private lands, and San Carlos Reservation lands. The Salt fire is looking a whole lot better than the Griffin fire right now. It's been holding at 20,809 acres and approximately 66% containment the last several days. That's largely due to some wetting rains that we got approximately 3 days ago on the leading edge of the fire. The Champion fire, which started 2 days ago, has actually merged with the Griffin fire at this point, and it's all being absorbed under one fire structure. The big news here is we did order a Type 1 incident management team. Alan Sinclair's Type 1 team will be in-briefed tonight, actually at 1900, so in about 30 minutes. They are going to take command of the fire sometime either late shift tomorrow or early on Thursday morning. And so we'll have their support The current Type 2 team is being reassigned to a different fire closer actually to the valley, called the Superstition Fire, also on Tono National Forest lands. And that fire is approximately 2,500 acres as of this afternoon. We did have some closures again today on Highway 60 between Globe and Sholo. Last look, the fire was approximately 1 mile from US 60 and is likely to impact Highway 60 sometime in the next 24 hours. Again, that's all subject to change. And there was an several evacuations set to go status from approximately the ADOT building north on the east side of Highway 60 today. So many residents were affected by that. That went smooth. We had no known issues with the evacuation order there. The fairgrounds is currently ICP for this incident. Will continue to be ICP under the Type 1 management team, and the fire is moving in that direction. But I think the fairgrounds will hold all right. Let's see here. As far as air resources, we're actually extremely fortunate. So we currently have 3 National Guard Black Hawk helicopters, which would be classified as a Type 1 helicopter, working the incident, as well as 2 of our normal Type 1 helicopters and 1 Type 3 helicopter. Multiple heavy air tankers have been used, and retardant is showing some success. But I think, I think overall we're going to be looking better here once we get a Type 1 team in place. Currently, the Griffin Fire, which is the large fire just to the north here, we're at 28% containment. So for folks that have been really watching the numbers close, you'll see it's been reduced over the last couple of days, and you see that containment percentage lowering, and it's not due to any breach in containment. It's simply being reduced as the fire grows in size. So those lines that were in place that were holding before are still holding, but the fire continues to grow. And yes, and the map's up here on the screen right now. And as I said, the Champion Fire has been absorbed by Griffin. But, I'm available for any questions. We've been really trying to get the information out there. As far as we've had a cooperators meeting every day at 10, so I've made sure to make myself as available as possible. And then as well as the incident management team has done a pretty good job with their public information. But if anybody has any questions.
Questions from council, Freddie?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. You mentioned an acronym, ICP, I believe you said?
Incident Command Post.
And that represents?
So that is where the incident command team will take up
Incident
residence
command
for the
post?
next
Okay.
couple of days.
Okay. And the 60 was open, but it is now closed again?
The US 60, I believe that's US 60, was closed again this afternoon. So we did reopen it for the last couple of days, but with a change in weather and a change in wind direction, the Griffin Fire did make a push back at US at 60, and we were forced to close it again this afternoon. And ADOT's working very, very closely with us. They've been an extremely big help.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Fernando, any questions?
I do. Thank you for your presentation. My question is this. I know that the philosophy of fighting fire has slightly changed, that as long as it doesn't endanger life or property, that the attitude is nature should take its course and let it burn. Is that still the philosophy, or is that changing at all?
So we largely base those decisions on risk and values at risk. So our number one objective on this incident, and really any incident, is life first. The safety of our firefighters and public is number one. That is absolutely always the number one objective. We do live in a fire-adapted ecosystem in certain respects, but really with the values at risk, these fires are all considered full suppression fires. We are not looking to allow these things to burn any more ground than absolutely necessary. That being said, the tactics being employed right now are largely indirect, as direct tactics, for instance, putting hot shot crews directly on the line has shown to be rather ineffective.
Thank you.
Adam, I got 2 questions, just briefly. Is there any structures that are threatened at this point up north towards the fairgrounds? And can you briefly explain what we get, the difference between a Type 2 team and a Type 1 team?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as structures imminently threatened, that was the reason for the evacuation. So the Griffin Fire has pushed south as well as pushing back to the west at US 60. As of right now, there are no structures that are going to be, very, very, very immediately threatened. But it's good, we wanted to have a good, safe evacuation, give folks plenty of time. So that's the state of the current structure situation. As far as, what was the other part of your question?
Just the difference, what the Type 1 team brings us besides the Type 2.
So when you change incident management structures from a Type 2 to a Type 1, you get a lot more support. So the Type 1 team will come with a significant amount of support resources, and that's more from the planning side of things. It allows us to look at a bigger picture, get out ahead of the fire, and have a more solid plan in place. With a fire that's as fast moving as these, that can be absolutely key. It also raises the incident's priority a little bit and allows us to possibly pull in more resources. However, as I stated earlier, resources are very, very thin across the entire country right now and are very difficult to obtain.
Mr. Mayor?
Mike?
Yes. Let's see, Adam. The evacuation area was from the fairgrounds to ADOT?
No, from ADOT north, past the fairgrounds, all the way up 60 and on the east side of the highway.
Okay, did that include the prison?
I do not believe they evacuated the prison. So it was more private residences,
Okay.
and it was a precaution.
Is there a possibility that if the fire spread more, that the prison would have to be moved?
I think the prison has been looked at as fairly defensible. Smoke impacts could be a potential cause for concern, but I think smoke impacts are actually a pretty large concern across most of the communities here at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Adam, thank you for your time. I know you're
Mr. Mayor?
extremely busy.
Mr. Mayor, I had
Go ahead.
one quick question, Adam, before I let you go. I know they talked a lot about the weird monsoon season we're having
Yes.
and kind of the swishing effect.
Yes.
Can you talk about kind of how this year is different than most in the monsoons?
Yeah, so this year is incredibly different than most, especially for the Tonto. I mean, there are folks here that have spent a career in fire, 30 years or more, that haven't seen fire activity like this before. And it's a combination of a couple of things. Several wet winters in a row have really produced a bumper grass crop across most of the forest, and that combined with our lack of moisture has set us up for some very active fire behavior, and which is unprecedented for this time of year. Normally fire season here ends with us, going into monsoon season in, say, the middle of July. So right now we've got a very interesting high pressure ridge set up over the Four Corners area, and that's really what's preventing the buildup of moisture across the state.
All right, Adam, thank you very much. Okay, I know you're busy and you got a briefing to get to, but thank you for the update.
Yep, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have item A, and I'd like to kind of combine A and B since they're from the same department. So first one, we have item A is recognition of 23 years of dedicated service to the Globe Library and the retirement of Mary Helen Avalos. And with that, Ellen, I just want to tell you thank you for your years of service from all of us. That's a long time to put in with one organization, one employee, and we thank you for everything you've done for our city. And so we're going to bring you up and we'll present you with a watch, and we also have some flowers that we'll give you, and we'd like to get a picture. And we'll bring you up and we'll bring in Adrea up at the same time. Item B is recognition of Adrea Ricke's 5 years of dedicated service to the City of Globe Public Library. And Adrea, we also want to congratulate you for your new venture in life. We're going to miss you. You've done a lot of work for us. It's hard to replace your enthusiasm and your energy, and that's what we're going to miss. But you know what? You have truly set, as a leader, you set the foundation for that library, and it'll be easy to build up from there, okay? Because it does have a good foundation that you're going to leave, and we'll move on, and we'll make sure that we make you proud of it too. So if we can bring you up, and we're going to give you a plaque, Adrea, and that plaque says the City of Globe recognizes Adrea Ricke for 5 years of dedicated service to the Globe Library and the City of Globe. So if you guys could come up, we'd like to get a picture with the council, if we can put our mask on, and yeah, if we can go, yeah, that'd be good.
Well, Adrea had wanted to say a few words about.
Okay.
You want to do that before? Or?
You want to do it? Yeah, let's do it then, right now, and then we'll come up.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Tonight we celebrate 23 years of Mary Helen Avalos at the Globe Public Library. Mary Helen began on July 28, 1997 as a part-time library clerk. She then became a full-time library clerk in 2006 and then the deputy librarian in 2010. When people think of the Globe Public Library, people think of Mary Helen. They think about how knowledgeable she is and how willing she is to help people. Through all the changes in the library over the years, Mary Helen has been the one constant. She became such a fixture at the library, in fact, that we joke that Mary Helen is part of the furniture. Mary Helen earned many certificates on various library trainings over the years and became a primary contact for such programs as the OCLC. However, Mary Helen's biggest accomplishments involve people. She encouraged so many kids throughout the years that we lovingly call those kids the children that were raised by librarians. Even now, as adults, people call the library to specifically ask for help from Mary Helen. In public, like at the grocery store, for example, people will talk to her about the library. It is wonderful to think about what a difference she has made for the people in our community and what a great representative she has been for the library and the City of Globe as a whole. The work is serious at the library, but even with all the social issues that come with the job, Mary Helen has always kept a good sense of humor. Some of the examples of this include the name puns like Fly Guy, everyone being related to her, including her UPS delivery brother, our use of duct tape, I'm looking at you, Hayden, London, and many more that we cannot name in public. Sometimes all you can do is laugh until you cry, and if you're Mary Helen, turn very red in the process. But again, her good nature is part of what made her such a great library asset and a wonderful deputy to have during the most stressful times. While we don't want to see Mary Helen go, we're excited for Mary Helen to begin her new life, an exciting adventure, and we wish her nothing but happiness in the future. Thank you.
Any words from you, Adrea? Or Mary Helen, either one.
I just want to thank everybody, and I'm going to miss all my coworkers, and Adrea, and everybody that I've worked with in the city through all the years, and especially my patrons. And Adrea has been great. She did a wonderful job. Out all the years that I worked there, she's actually put a lot into the library, and I just wish Rael and Effie the best, and whoever else comes in. Thank you.
You guys can come under this wall by the flowers and we'll.
All going up there.
However it works best for everybody.
In your eyes.
Shirley, get closer. There you go. You're good. All right, good deal. All right, now, so Mayor, do you want to present the gifts?
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So, you gotta get a picture, you gotta get the, and I don't know if you know yet what that is, but I think that you'd be able to tell time with that. For the time you spent here. Thank you.
It has the logo and my name and the years. Thank you.
And then I think we have something for Adrea. There we go. And that's something you can hang on the walls of your county office. You know.
You.
Congratulations, we're gonna
Thank
we'll
you.
pay back to the county.
Thank you. Thank you.
And And Adria, do you, right before you leave, do you want to introduce the person that will be temporarily following your footsteps? No, that's okay. Just let council. Stand up. Just stand up so we know who we're talking about.
Okay, so this is Raelle Starling, and she has a bachelor's degree in elementary education. She has a master's degree in library science. She's also been a programming assistant for 3 years, and I'm very excited that she is going to be the interim.
She is the interim.
Since
Since we announced that we made her interim, she's going to be taking over until we can get the wrap everything up at the end.
Right. And she's going to do an amazing job.
And we told her she would have to speak to you. Thank you all.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you. The library needs to move a little slow.
Oh, we're doing the other one. Okay. I do the swearing in.
So next we have item C, and this is promotion of Staff Sergeant Charles Haines to Lieutenant. We have the Honorable John Perlman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're here on this extra special day for the police department. We're going to talk a little bit about Charles Haines, often referred to as Chuck. Chuck was born and raised in the local area. Chuck is a graduate of the Miami High School and holds an associate's degree from Mesa Community College and a Bachelor of Science degree in Justice Studies from Arizona State University. So just so you know, I had to overcome 2 strikes against him. I'm not going to tell you which 2 those were. Chuck has been associated with the Globe Police Department for over 23 years. He started his career with the Globe PD in 1996 as a patrol officer. He went on to work various assignments within the department to include narcotics agent with the Gila County Narcotics Task Force and as a detective with criminal investigations. In 2005, Chuck was promoted to sergeant over a patrol squad and remained in that position until his initial retirement in 2016. He stayed connected to the Globe Police Department through the reserve program, and in 2018, Chuck was recruited back to Globe PD as an administrative staff sergeant and is currently assigned over the following. And this has grown substantially over the last year, and so these are just some of the duties that he has. He oversees the criminal investigation unit, property and evidence, records, and the new body-worn camera program that we just instituted. In addition, Chuck is tasked with the training coordinator, accreditation manager, policy review, grant writer, coordinator, quartermaster in charge of ordering all equipment and supplies, and FEMA compliance and fleet services contact. So, with the added responsibilities and the workload, it became imperative his title changed to meet the organizational needs. It is my honor and privilege to promote Charles Haines to the rank of lieutenant.
Pleasure to see you. Honorable Mayor, Honorable Council, members of the public, my pleasure to swear in. Chuck Haines, I'm going to ask you if you would to raise your right hand and place your left hand on the Bible and repeat after me if you will. I. State your full name.
Charles Haines.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and laws
and laws
of the state of Arizona,
of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
and defend them
and defend them
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of lieutenant
of lieutenant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So, thank you.
And welcome.
Thanks, Lord.
Thank you.
Ooh, you practiced, huh?
Hey, Chuck, don't let him intimidate you about Miami.
I left the wedding ring at home.
There'll be a test at the end of this.
I was going to make a joke that having sworn Chuck in previously that he must have been the last time.
Oh, I could have done it.
Next time.
Oh.
Two shots.
Oh, so is there one on either side? Ah.
pressure, Mayor.
We got all the time in the world.
Nice job.
So, Charlene, got flowers in a card
No, it's from the whole council.
from the whole council. Right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That has to be for his wife for putting up with everything. so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor and council, I just wanted to say thank you for the ongoing support for the police department. When you honored me with giving me this job 2 years ago, one of the things that you'd asked is that I turn that police department around and build a structure that will be lasting and professional and serve this community. And with this promotion tonight, it creates the structure that we need moving forward. And it's just one more piece of the puzzle that is building that police department that you so requested. So thank you again for the ongoing support for everybody at the police department. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Chief.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I wanted to give a big thanks to Danny, who we like to throw curveballs at Danny, and so when we put the camera over here or put people over there or put a map up on the screen, he's always rolling with it, making it work for all of us so that these events go well.
He does a good job.
Danny, thank you.
Item E, we have John Angulo will present council with an update on the dog park.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Paul had asked me to put a 30-minute presentation over the dog park, so unfortunately, I only came up with 27.
They must know Jerry Barnes pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. No, then he reminded me it was only an update, which is
Don't
3
even get
minutes.
started.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity tonight. I just wanted to update you as far as the construction side. As you all know, the issues we've been dealing with between the COVID and our staffing. We've been actively trying to recruit some staff, and we've had multiple areas that we've been kind of down. So we've kind of been moving crews around. So the construction side of it's kind of gone to the wayside to some of the other projects with water issues and even brush because of this, the fires that we're even dealing with, were residential calls and constituents. But what I can really report behind the scenes, behind the scenes type of work, and also the groups, the dog park committee has been actively working through the farmers market, getting, contributions. At this point, from what I understand, roughly they've actually got almost $4,000 in donations, and they're actively working on the dog park, the cutouts that was presented to you a few weeks back. Councilwoman Giles kind of gave you a representation of that. Some of the dog park signage is going to be uniform with kind of what we have at the old Dominion mine site. And Thea and their group has been working together to put that together with Western Repro, and those are very nice signs. I saw some of the mock-ups that they're working with right now, and they're really, they go all the way from dog park, I mean not dog park, but the history of dogs through the mining and that whole culture. So that's been going on. On the city side, we've been acquiring some of the dispensers, the garbage cans, working with the benches, getting benches together, getting most of that, all that equipment and material together. So when we can, I think basically this last part and getting ready for opening of the dog park, we're going to actually pull our resources together, just like we did previously in March when we did the planting of the trees and the water lines, and we're just going to bring everything together. The dog park committee is actively working on getting the pricing for the shade screening that was mentioned previous with the cutouts. So that's all in place. Some of the ramadas and the main entranceway are going to be the key areas that we want to kind of finish up before we talk about the grand opening, as far as capping some areas and finishing the fencing. If you've been up there recently, you'll kind of see, I mean, it's coming together, it really is. But in order for the special needs to be finished, we have all the material, but that will also be a project that we basically pull our resources together and just get a group up there. So most of the materials, everything is being acquired for, if not already in place at our Public Works yard. We recently got some equipment and some stuff from Midstate through a purchase. We actually acquired some big PVC. It's not PVC, it's PE pipe drainage, and those actually, we're going to use those as kinds of like little obstacle course to work in with the park. It's almost like you would look at like a culvert pipe. Some of those things we can add into it, as there's going to be some fine tuning once we're up and running. But like I said, at this point, we're kind of trying to gather all our resources as far as all the equipment that's going to need it. I don't want to really send a crew out there to do just partial. I think we're going to just really go out there and hit it hard, and hopefully at that point we can wrap that up. With the groups, I mostly want to thank, the dog park committee. Last night I met with Brian Hudson, they're, with the schools. They're anxious to get that other ball field back, and they're willing to donate some time and efforts towards that as well with the high school. So we've got a lot of people, so to say, at the gate willing to do the work. We just got to, like I said, schedule and get that together.
Questions or comments for John? Ready?
Actually, John, I have an offer. You mentioned the big HDPE pipe or PE pipe. I have access to quite a few thousand feet of that I'm trying to get rid of. So if you could use some of that, let me know.
Oh, that'd be great, and like I said, I really wanted to mention that I think Mayor, Council, thank you for all your support on these projects, and not only the donations that have been received, but also the groups, that you see out there, the people that stop and ask the questions, that want to donate. Same thing with the benches. I know a few weeks ago that was brought up as far as a memorial bench, memorial bricks. All of that can be incorporated into the dog park once we've established and opened. Some of the benches we can actually put in place beforehand. So we'll work with the public and anybody that's wanting to donate for that type of, on the project, just like we did out here. I want to thank my Public Works crews, because as you all know, I was off for almost a month, and we had a lot of guys put a lot of time and effort, and it's great to see the effort that they put into it. They take the pride in the work and getting that done, and like I said, ultimately it's with your support for these projects, so thank you.
Sterling?
I just want to reiterate that the work that's been done so far is just quite awesome, and so many thanks to the crews that did that. They also took some initiative on their own to, it's pretty creative. Some of the things they've done are pretty creative, and it's not just your regular run-of-the-mill benches and so forth. So pass that on, please. Then my question is, so is the handicapped and special needs area, do you see that being completed before opening? And how are we going to deal with the grass?
Actually, with the grass area, as you already know, once we start looking at doing when we start doing the special needs, we're going to have, just like we did the other way, the foundation's going to be there in place as far as the topsoil. My plan is we're going to have to cut out the infield of the other field in preparation for that. So that's already rooted. So I plan on pretty much bringing that over and transplanting that. So that's going to be probably more instant grass than actually planting seed. Yeah. So this next season, when it comes in, starts filling back in, because of course we're getting later part of the year, even though it doesn't seem like it. When that comes in, like I said, it'll be more of the irrigation and watering it and just feeding that and fertilizing it and bringing it back. But that whole infield actually would cover. We measured that out, so we'd have plenty of grass from the skin that we actually, from the infield to the other.
That's a great idea.
So that's my anticipation there.
That's a really great idea. And then I have had several folks that have inquired about the adopting a bench, you tell us what we're to tell them. That we will wait until completion, or who should they contact, or what? Just give me some more information.
I actually would probably lean towards contacting myself or Richard Thomas.
Okay.
And we can get that number out too. You know, if somebody relays a message, you can have them contact us, and then we can work that in. Because ultimately, we want to see how many benches. You know, I'm sure there'll be multiple people that would like to make a donation, but the dog park actually truly is only so big, so I want to make sure we're not overlapping and we're loading it up with a lot of benches. So we'll plan accordingly, because there's some of the outside of the trail that goes into Old Dominion. Even the entranceway that we might be able to additionally, you know, enhance and additional trees with our tree budget as well, you know, that we have. So there's other enhancements we can make. Right now, we're still looking at the initial, you know, plan, but there's so much more we can do out there, not just with the ball fields, the dog park as well.
So Paul, my thoughts are, can we put something on the website, or do we go on on a Facebook page? You know, there's been more than one or two folks that have asked about this, so let's get them the information so you can plan better. I mean, these benches have to be on concrete foundations, so it's not a matter of just going down to the Home Depot and buying a bench and putting it over there. I mean, there's, you know, John's crew's got a.
Yeah,
so how do we tackle that?
Yeah, no, we can put a little something on the web page, and we should have our new website up within 6 weeks, and we'll have a lot more information on the new website about that. But we can get that contact information out through the website, and I think Facebook.
Okay, so let's do the city's Facebook, but then also I'll contact the Friends of the Dog Park and get it. They have their own Facebook page. Let's do it on both. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Fernando, you got any comments?
No, not really. Thank you. Well, yes. I have not. I was reluctantly a dog owner. I got drug into this. I managed to live 52 years without a dog, and and now that I have a dog, it's really important for things like the dog park, and it's amazing how it brings people together. And I just think the city has done a fantastic job of creating that space. I went and checked it out and tried to get in, but the door was locked. But it's really come along, and I just think the city and all the volunteers and everybody who's put time and effort into it has done a fantastic job. And now that I'm a reluctant dog owner that now loves my dog, thank you so much to all the people that put an effort into that, because it really is. I mean, dogs are our family, and until you have one, you don't know that, but they are. So thank you.
Fernando's got an awesome doggy.
You probably bring him up there on camera.
Winston, yeah, where's Winston? Show his little face.
John, thank you very much. It does look amazing. I visited a couple of times. It looks great, and thank you for all the work you and your crew does up there.
Thank you, Mayor.
We have item F, and it's going to be a presentation of council of the history of the bed tax organizations.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, it's not a full-blown presentation because I do not have a PowerPoint, but I was thinking more, you know, pres date or up pres. I'm not sure if you can how I combine those. I need my daughters for that help. So I did speak. We had originally asked for Steve Stratton if he could give this. He was traveling today, and he's home now watching. But I did talk to him on the phone before this, and got some information from him. And so I'm gonna take a whack at the history of this, knowing that Fernando is watching, and knowing that Fernando can save me if I get anything wrong, because I know he was there. When I talked to Steve, he talked about 1994, the different groups, the 5 groups that are part of the bed tax, the Chamber, the EDC, Historical Society, Center for the Arts, and Downtown Association would always come to council looking for support for running their organizations. And Steve reflected it was kind of like a race to council who'd get their money first. And there was a lot of work and a lot of haggling, and just they were trying to find a way to get this organized. So they put out the idea that if we were to collect, if the city could collect a bed tax on lodging, the transitional lodging tax is what it truly is called, but they needed the support of the motels and hotel owners, because the council didn't want to go and do this and have these groups come and be upset about it. And so the bed tax, or the 5 groups fanned out and talked to the hotels about how this could benefit them by doing the tourism and promoting the city of Globe. So they agreed to get on board, and the city passed the bed tax through their legislative authority. A lot of times people think that this was passed by a referendum or a vote of the people or something like that. It was not. The role of the bed tax organizations were to bring the owners, the hotel and motel owners, on board, but the legislative authority lies in the council to set that. Steve said that historically they have relied on the 5 bed tax organizations to set up the split and how they do that split. Currently the split is Chamber is 22.5%. Okay, so right now, as of today, we take all of our bed tax money and distribute it quarterly based on the split. We don't say we're going to give 100,000 or 80,000 or anything like that. We take whatever we collect and we pass through that, and that is also council's decision every year. Every year you have the authority to pass some through, pass all through, to change the distribution. It has to be approved by council each year. That's how it's been going. Is every year we bring forward a proposition, and this year we did the same as last year and the year before. But so right now the split is Chamber and EDC are 22.5% of the total bed tax. Historical Society is 15%. Center for the Arts is 20%. And downtown 20%. I was looking, I found a memo from a previous city manager, 2005. At that point, Chamber and EDC were combined, and they received 49.3%. Center for the Arts, 19.6%, Historical, Downtown Association, 19.6%, and then Historical Society, 11.5%. So for whatever reason, the Historical Society, I think, has gotten the smaller share of the funding. But I have I asked Steve about this, and he says they just don't have as much going on. And that's Steve's words, not mine. But that was just kind of the view of that. What's really curious and reminded that the rate has changed, the rate of the bed tax. From 94 to 2001, the rate we collected 5% on the bed tax. And then for not really clear, they went down to 3%, I think the request of the motels. But then they had a shortfall, and so they raised it to cover some more funds for the Downtown Association or the Main Street obligation, and it went up to 4% for 2 years, from 2003 to 2005, and then back down to its current rate of 3% in 2005 to current. And so that is the history of the bed tax. Now, the members again, council has full authority. You could take it and divvy up into more groups, to less groups, percentages, formulas, requirements. We have our own association. Some used to have the big long presentations. Now we have more of a formal submission of information. We added the liaisons and things like that. But as to the history, the goal has always been to bring more business to Globe, to bring outsiders in, and the city at that time relied much more heavily on Chamber, EDC, Historical, Center for the Arts, and Downtown. That was and we created the council prior in 2016, 2017, the Economic Development Department and Development Director, and so it's not has been reliant just on the bed tax organizations. So I'm going to stop there before I get my slides out, and I see the former Mayor Shipley looking over at me from above.
We'll open it up to him first. Do you have any comments or questions, Fernando?
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge a couple people. So this is actually done before my time, but I know Ingo Radicke and Jim Valenzuela were instrumental, and they were community members that really worked hard to do things for the community of Globe and selflessly. And because of their influence, they were able to get people together and then negotiate something. So when they brought it to city council, my understanding is that they had already got all the partners in agreement. They got the motel owners to understand how it would benefit them. And so they really did all the legwork to bring it to council so that it was in a form that council could support it. And so, and now both of them have passed on, and I just want to acknowledge their efforts. And it's nice to have people that are selfless that give to the community, and I really appreciate them, and I got to know them, and so I just want to give some credit to them. And then I just think it's important. The bed tax has been a pass-through, and I'm glad that we're still doing it, and I hope that we continue to support that program. I know that they do a lot to bring activity to the community. The chamber brings the home tour. They didn't do it this last year, but that was partially to do with the personnel change and some of the issues that were going on at that time. But they bring activity to the community, the Center of the Arts and Main Street. Our Halloween festival brings people from all around the world. I can't believe people come from Italy and different places just to be at our Halloween festival. I'm like, don't you have your own? But no, it's just everything that we can do to work together to put Globe on the map. And that's one of the reasons I actually never left. My goal was to come to Globe, be here 3 years, and get the heck out. That was almost 21 years ago. And I fell in love with Globe. I fell in love with the people here because they cared about each other. And so I just think that's actually one of our biggest assets is how we come together when we need each other. And so I just want to acknowledge those two individuals.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions or comments? Shirley?
Shelley, did you?
There's just a public comment.
Is there? Okay.
Well, I just cannot say enough how these bed tax funds they're imperative to the groups that receive them to run and to function. There's so many people that volunteer so much, but there are costs that have to be paid, maintaining buildings and paying for utilities, and there is some paid help. It wouldn't be possible for these entities to continue on without the help of the bed tax money. And I myself have been involved in many of the productions, so we should call them productions and events that have been put on by some of these groups, and they're awesome, and they do bring a huge amount of people to our community, and they also involve our community, and people miss them and they want them back. So let us get through this COVID and start the events again. Thank you.
Thank you. You got a comment there, Sherry?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, from Sherry Rice. She asks, how were these entities selected to receive the bed tax?
So the answer, the initial way that they were selected was those 5 entities were involved in the gathering up of support and packaging it to, as Councilman Shipley said, in a package that was ready to go for council. All the paperwork was negotiated, and the deals were struck, and the political support was gathered. But there is no selection process other than what council chooses to fund, who they choose to fund each year. And so if it was council's prerogative to adjust the recipients, that would be for council to bring forward or seek. And so there is no how are they selected? It's the vote of council and what they want to move forward with.
That's all you have?
Yep.
Paul, I just have one question. I know it's probably lingered around $100,000 that I've known in the past. Is that amount increases on an annual basis with our showing in our motels?
It goes up and down with as a percentage of that category. Not only, and this was some confusion about 3 years back about their we charge a flat 2.3%, which includes our tax on transitional lodging. then we charge an additional 3%. And so that additional 3% is somewhat of a representative of what's going on. When I first started here in 2016, we were hovering right about $100,000. 2019, 2020, we collected about $147,000 that will be is being distributed. And so we're up about almost 50%. And so that's good. And that reflects, I think, a portion of the growth of the economy during this past 4 years. The changes we made and the ability to, to do more and seek more activity. I think this council and the prior council and the council before have all come together to embrace economic development and put their trust. Economic development's a long haul. And it takes a little while to see the benefit of it, but we are seeing that benefit.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. That wasn't too long, was it?
Next, we go to consent calendar, and matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. Public hearing items are designated with an asterisk. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the mayor will ask whether any member of the public wishes to remove a public hearing item for separate consideration. Members of the council and/or staff may remove any item for separate consideration. Item A, consideration of waiver of section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule to allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. Accounts payable, $451,292. Consideration of approval of council minutes, May 12, 2020, meeting minutes. And consideration to approve a police department contingency transfer request in the amount of $5,867.72 from account number 10-5353000 administration contingency to account number 10-57532215 property evidence building to cover the unexpected cost of replacing the air conditioning unit. Do we have anybody from the public, the staff, or the council who would like to remove any of these items separate?
Mayor, I'd like to remove C, or just hold off on it.
Item C?
Mr. Mayor, if there are no other comments or questions, I motion that we remove item C for further discussion and approve the consent agenda as read.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as read minus item C. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. So Mike, we'll go back to item C.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I just had a question, Chief. Did we go local with this to upgrade the AC or to replace the unit?
Mayor
Or
and
is this
council,
from down in the valley?
I can't answer that. It was actually handled through,
It was? Yes. Okay. That's all I had, just for that question. Oh, were they? Okay, simple. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Any
all I
other?
had.
thank you, John.
Just wanted to keep it local if all possible.
Mr. Mayor, if there are no other comments or questions, I motion that we approve item C as read.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve item C. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Chief. We don't have no new business, so we'll move to action items. So item A is consideration of Resolution 1817, a resolution to abandon a portion of city right-of-way located at 300 block of 7th Street. Shelley, can you read resolution number 1817, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 1817, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Globe, county of Gila, state of Arizona, abandoning a portion of right-of-way generally located on the 300 block of South 7th Street. Is council pleased with that reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to table this item. I was able to meet with both parties today, and we're not ready to resolve this problem at this point. So I think we could probably put it on the next agenda.
Yes.
Paul and
Yep.
myself met with the two parties.
Yes.
And I believe, we might have Jesse also included in this, that we're gonna go walk the property, because we were just based on pictures today. And it was pretty tough to decide what we could do, and both parties.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, and Mr. Vice Mayor, yes, there's some differences of opinion of surveys and property lines and who should, the access. It's down to, to a close thing. Both property owners are going to be asking us for abandonments as it relates to their half of that road. And so I think it's in the best interest of the city that we kind of work out the details and get them both as close as possible on this, so that the council feels more comfortable when we do go ahead and give these. You'd hate to have an abandonment where it'd be cleaner if everybody's on the same page. And so I would recommend we schedule it to come back in 2 weeks. But as we spoke, Mr. Vice Mayor, I think we'll get a field trip out there sometime this week and keep the ball rolling. I thought we had a good start today.
I did too.
Yep.
Thank you.
You want to make that motion, Mike, to table?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table item A,
6A.
6A, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table item 6A. Any further discussion?
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, both parties were aware we were going to table, and they were okay with that. Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item B, consideration to approve Resolution 1819, adopting the August 4, 2020 primary election results. Shelley, can you read that resolution, or is there one there?
Yes.
You have one? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 1819, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Globe, Gila County, State of Arizona, declaring and adopting the results of the primary election held on August 4th, 2020. Is council pleased with that reading?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this resolution adopts the final canvass that the county put forward, resulting the results from the August 4th primary election. So the majority was, for the City of Globe, Mayor Algameros. District 1, the majority was Freddie Rios. District 2, the majority was Mike Pastor. District 5, the majority was Charlene Giles. And Proposition 406, Home Rule, was won with 982 votes.
Motion to pass as presented.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the results from the primary election. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed.
Mayor?
Yes.
When I was mayor, the rumor was that I was making like $125,000 a year for being mayor. And I would just like to point out that all of you work for approximately about $1 an hour. And so just so the public knows. So thank you for your service and congratulations on your victory.
Thank you. And I think something just for discussion, well, that'll be a future item to discuss, is maybe, it wouldn't affect any of this council, but maybe future councils consider to maybe raise a little bit on the amount that the council is paid, it's not a whole lot, but, if we look at something.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I think that, I believe the council is $3,000 a year, mayor is $6,000 a year. But it hasn't changed for an adjustment for a while. But to do the adjustment, the current council has to approve it for the future council. So if you were to do something right now, it wouldn't take effect for for probably 2 years. So the problem will be even worse. So it is something I think we're going to bring back.
Thank you.
And I hope I got those numbers right.
Yeah.
Item C is consideration and possible council approval of amendment number 4 to contract number 019-0248 with the Pinal-Gila Council of Senior Citizen to extend the term of the contract from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. And we have Jeannie.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I have amendment number 4 to extend the term of the contract from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. Amendment number 4 will extend the contract for a 1-year period, as well as extend the van lease agreement that we have with PGCSC, where we are using a van of theirs at the rate of $1 per year. And that's to be used for senior transportation and nutrition services for individuals participating in the PGCSC funded programs. So it's just time for our annual renewal. Any questions?
Questions for Jeannie?
I do have one.
Ready?
Thank you, Mayor. Jeannie, so this contract has 3 one-year renewals. Is this year 2 of that 3-year renewal process? Not a curveball, I just want to make sure I'm reading this right.
22nd? It is. No, it is. You're right, it is.
Okay.
And the process, we have to go through a RFP process at the end of that 3-year period.
Okay, good. That was going to be my next question. Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
You're welcome.
Fernando? None?
Mr. Mayor, if there are no questions.
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'm sorry, Fernando. If there are no questions or comments, I motion that we approve amendment number 4 to contract 019-0248 with the Gila County Council for Senior Citizens, acronym PGCSC, to extend the term of contract from July 1, 20 to June 30, 2021.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for approval of the contract. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item D, my favorite one.
Thank you.
Consideration and possible approval of the acceptance of 2 assistants to firefighters grant awards for self-contained breathing apparatus and radio equipment. Chief Robinson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. As most of you probably recall, earlier this year we came forward asking for permission to apply for 2 different assistance to firefighters grant. The first one being the joint grant with Tri-City Fire District for the purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus. This is one that we had been seeking for a couple of years. Again, this year we sought to how we could improve our application, what we could do to work to get that application funded, and we were successful with that to a total amount of approximately $392,000 with our included matches in that. Based on that allows us to purchase 56 units, which allows us to allocate the same number of SCBAs that we have currently in our stash of equipment back into the system in an updated fashion. That project had numerous goals, including some safety goals, that allows us to share equipment across the board. It provides for the next 10 to 15 years for the community to be able to continue the service and the level of service that we provide. When it comes to firefighting, the level of safety we provide to our people, the collaboration that we have with Tri-City Fire District when it comes to operations both inside the city and outside the city. That grant came with a 5% match that was a total of approximately $18,000. We're working through the allocation of units to see exactly what our match will be you know, it's somewhere approximating 45% of that total match amount that the city will be asked to put forward, and that was budgeted for when we planned this year. The other grant, in doing a little bit of research, we realized we were eligible for what they call an AFG micro grant. That allows us to seek funding up to an amount of $50,000 for whatever. It can be a training program, it can be equipment, it can be that. We chose to look at the potential to expand some of the radio work that went on here recently in conjunction with the police department, and update some pieces of equipment that were relocated as part of that project. We were successful to an amount of $24,500 with that. With that, they allocated all the equipment we asked for with a modified amount based on what they felt were market values of that piece of equipment. We're working through that now to determine, you know, we have priorities set for that project with the purchase of a repeater, the purchase and installation of a repeater, and then based on where we're at with that, we'll be able to potentially do some additional enhancements to the radio system, not just for us, but regionally. Our goal from the start of that project has been to potentially transition our main primary, what we call our alarm channel, where we receive all of our calls. We operate with Tri-City on the same frequency. Our goal is to transition to that frequency, and which provides us some enhanced coverage to a lot of areas, and have current, modern, upgradable equipment in place to allow us to do that. I'm extremely happy that we were able to get those two projects. They represent a significant, some significant hurdles that we've been trying to determine how we were going to pay for and implement going forward, and it should represent some significant improvements to our abilities and what we can do, what we can give to the community, what we can give in terms of safety to our firefighters, and just allow us to continue to do what we do and be successful. Those, again, that grant was $24,500. We had a match of 5% again for a total of $1,166.67 that was also planned for and budgeted in our plan this year.
Questions, comments? Ready?
Yeah, comment. Thank you, Mayor. You know, this is huge. This is a big win for your department, Tri-City. You know, I was following this from day one when you tried the first shot at it and then another shot, and you just kept your diligence and stayed persistent with this. And just my hat's off to you and Chief Rennan for staying obligated to going after this grant. And it's just a testament to your dedication to the community and your department. So congratulations.
Shirley?
Yeah, I just want to say well done. This is so necessary for our firefighters to have this equipment, but it also is such a double blessing because it saves from our general fund, you know, $400,000 that's now not going to be taken out of our general fund, that I'm sure the police chief would like maybe a car or two to use that money for that, but it helps everybody. It helps the whole city, really does. Thank you. Well done.
Mike?
How many units of the 56 does your department receive?
Our department, right now, we're looking at 25 units.
25 units?
Yeah, so when you apply for the grant, it's based on seated positions on your apparatus. You know, so any seated position that you have on your apparatus is eligible for a unit. That's what we did when we began the allocation process, because we originally applied for more units. When they evaluated our application, that was what they allocated. So, you know, when we evaluated unit seating positions, what we went by and made that determination. So currently I think we have 24 units that are in service. With I think we have one that's out of service due to parts that are becoming a little more difficult to get as those units age.
So will those 24 units still stay in service?
So right now, one of the things we have to go through and do is we have to evaluate the what make of SCBA we're going to select. One of the things we're going to consider as a whole is some of our SCBA cylinders, meaning just the bottles themselves, would be adaptable to a particular make and model. And that's one of the considerations that'll go into that selection process. But there is a broad selection process. We want to make sure we get what our firefighters are comfortable using, what meets standards that are current and for future standards, and we want to make sure we select the best thing that's in terms of weight, in terms of versatility, in terms of that. So there are a number of things. Some of that equipment could remain in service, at least the cylinders for a portion of time, depending on the selection that's made.
Thank you.
Fernando, got anything?
I'm good. Congratulations.
I don't want to downplay this. This is huge. This is huge. I mean, it's, I know the last time we were able to purchase SCBA's is it 15 years ago?
It was almost 15 years ago.
And that was huge. We were able to get a firefighter assistance grant and able to pay for it then and save the city money. But this is huge. This is something that we're going to have to allocate through our general fund and pay for. I mean, per unit, what does a unit cost now per unit?
A unit cost right now, we're allocated $7,000 per unit.
Yeah.
So
That's expensive, and we would have had to done that because I know ours are getting to their end life. Just one other question too, does this include a cascade system, a filling station too, a new one?
This does not include a new cascade filling station, just because at the moment, the unit that we have in service is it's very serviceable. It continues to function very well. It's maintained, and we did not foresee a need for that, outside of the potential to maybe have to buy some cylinders for that unit down the road. The cylinders are, the cylinders maybe have as you know, have a lifespan that they're allotted. Beyond that, the unit itself is a fairly, I don't want to say it's fairly new, but it's not as old as our SCBA's, and it's very functional, and we haven't had any service issues with it whatsoever.
Very good. Well, I just want to congratulate you on your hard work and dedication to get this done with both grants, because they're going to benefit us both, and in the interim save us money in the future through our funding. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Mayor, you are correct. This is huge. This is a tremendous cost that we have done, that have taken care of through his diligence and determination. All of your staff is very good at seeking and finding and landing grant funds, PD over $250,000, Public Works with all their bridge money. Your staff is very good at seeking out, from library to BESH to economic development. I think that it's amazing what they're able to bring, the value added when you set them free to go hunt down money. Also, this takes there was hesitation when we budgeted for the Type 3 because of this cost hanging out there. Gary, I'm very proud that Gary made it all the way through the presentation without the words Type 3 coming out of his mouth. So.
We asked the police car, that's it.
Yeah. So it shows quite the self-control. I will remind everybody, and Gary also, that on those the purchases, we're waiting to see 3 months of within 5% return of our revenues before we move forward with those purchases. So it's in the budget, but we're waiting for everything to stabilize, make sure we have a 3-month track record of recovery before we do that. But I'll tell you, it was hard to walk by that fire station and wonder when he's going to run out and say, well, would have been nice to have a Type 3 today. With all the activity, is amazing how irony works and fate. So, but congratulations. Yeah,
Yes.
I thought they could just Shanghai one and just take it out there, you know. And then it's like fire sales. Like, oh, it's damaged. We gotta, we got some smoke on it. But no, we'll be, like I say, when the time is right, we'll bring that back. But kudos to all of public safety. I mean, public safety's been hopping this week with everything going on with the fires that we thought were getting less, and now they're getting more. And both fire and police bringing all hands on deck to make sure they're ready for what we don't know is going to happen in the next 24 hours. We have no idea. We think it's going to be good, but we thought it was good, 2 days ago, and it wasn't. So we'll see what happens. But I'll tell you, your staff is ready for whatever comes tomorrow and tonight.
I just
Thank
want
you.
to comment that I think it's important that we understand how these state land contracts are, and all we got to look around is in our community and all the engines that you're seeing from all over Arizona and beyond and other states, and that's what this contract is about. And Type 6s and Type 3s are what they utilize. And if we get a chance, any of the council, to really, and hopefully Chief Robinson can arrange that, but go visit the ICP, the Incident Command Post, that's at the fairgrounds. It's amazing the operations that's there. So if we're able to, it'd be great for someone to see it that hasn't seen it. It is amazing.
I know under normal circumstances that's very much welcomed. Currently under COVID, that would probably be a discussion that we need to have with the liaison and public information house at the fire, because they do have, they have closed the ICPs in terms of in terms of operational personnel. It's very limited, let alone from outside. So it may or may not be successful if we try to arrange something.
Mr. Mayor, I'd happily like to make a motion to accept the Assistance to the Firefighters Grant AFG Award in cooperation with Tri-City Fire District for the purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus in the amount of $392,000, including a 5% match to be shared with Tri-City Fire Department, and accept a AFG Micro Grant Award in the amount of $24,500, including 5% match for the purpose of purchasing radio equipment.
A motion and a second for approval of the grant application award. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Chief.
Celebrate.
All right. Item E, consideration to approve entering into intergovernmental agreement number IGA 2020-0025 of the Town of Miami in the amount of $73,000 for the Copper Mountain Transit System Program. Funds have been budgeted in the fiscal year 2021 budget in account number 10-50-51255, Mayor and Council Transportation HB 2565 match. Jeannie.
Hey, Joe, can you hear us?
Good evening again.
We have Joe also.
We also have Joe Heatherly here.
Go, Jeannie, go ahead.
Hello.
And Joe, can I ask you if you're watching the live feed on YouTube, there's about a 13-second delay. So at this point, it'd be better to shut down the YouTube feed and just focus on the Zoom feed.
I'm just on the Zoom feed.
Okay, good. All right, Jeannie, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So tonight I brought before you the new IGA for the Town of Miami, the Copper Mountain Transit System. Funds have been budgeted, as Mayor said, in the fiscal year 2021 budget in the amount of $73,000. By approving this IGA with the town of Miami, the term will run from August 17, 2020 through August 16, 2021. And I added Joe's presentation to the staff report, his PowerPoint, to explain how the name switched from Cobra Valley Transit to Copper Mountain Transit. And so I think Joe's going to speak to that now.
Yeah, it was, I think over the years, there was some local confusion about whether the Cobra Valley Community Transit System was part of the hospital, and the color scheme was fairly close. The name Cobra Valley was identical, and so the members of the TAC, we had discussed possible name changes. We got with the schools, and that was really interesting. We didn't get much participation from the Globe schools, but from Miami schools, it was all the way from the first graders up through the high school, and they drew things and came up with slogans, and it was pretty interesting. We didn't directly select any one of theirs, but used some of theirs in coming up with the name Copper Mountain. And just to say, the town of Miami really appreciates the support from Globe and Gila County as well as ADOT in this. And in the presentation, you'll see there's some pictures. The pictures don't really give it justice. The new color scheme is going to be copper colored with teal lettering and logo on the sides, the front, and on the buses in the back. The one picture of the bus that's there, that was when it was first received down in Phoenix, so it didn't have any of the lettering or anything like that on it. I know that the mayor had asked to go look at it. We got it and then sent it right back down for a couple warranty items. So it's down in Phoenix right now, should be back up later this week. And we've got, so far this year we received one van and one bus, and there's 2 more buses and 1 more van that's currently on order. And those are from a federal grant, of which 100% is paid by ADOT through a federal grant. So does anybody have any specific questions?
Questions, comments? Fernando, any questions?
No, not really. I just know I know that Miami administers it. We all partner, but they're the ones that hire the employees and make sure it gets done. So we appreciate that on their part.
I just want to mention also that I'm part of the transit committee also, and have attended their monthly meetings leading up to these. I know with COVID, we have not really met in the last couple of months, but I want to congratulate their transit coordinator for submitting the grant. And what was the amount of the grant that for the vehicles? Actually, there was a large amount of money that was awarded to it. I can't even remember what it is.
It was over 300,000.
So that added to the budget of it, and it was a good award, because they were able to buy those new vehicles along in conjunction with their annual budget.
Well, I move that we go ahead and approve this item E as presented.
I'll second the motion.
And Mr. Mayor, before we approve this, I just want to thank council for another year of approving this very, very important feature of our community, of our regional community. To have this award-winning, federally funded transit system running and continue to operate in our region is something that many communities strive for and don't reach. It's very important to the hundreds of people that don't make it to council meetings and don't make it on Facebook, and they live their lives and they rely on this service to get to their hospital appointments, to get their food. It's wonderful. We have such a great partner with Miami. They're running this program, although most of the pickups and the locations are here in Globe, but it's just a great team effort, and I'm glad this is something that once again we can support. And just so you know, county has already passed their support also. We are getting a quality award-winning project service for a very reasonable price and a great benefit to the community. So thank you. And Joe, thank you I know how much work this is for you. I really appreciate it. I know you do such a good job of this, and you make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Mayor?
Yes, Fernando, go ahead.
I've been around long enough to remember that it used to be that to use this system, you had to call in advance and make an appointment. And I always felt like there was just very few people that knew about it, that utilized it. And now with the fixed route system, I feel like a lot more people can use it. And I just feel like that's been a big improvement. I know at one time it was a struggle sometimes to get the council of City of Globe to support it, and we've always managed to support it, but it's sometimes been kind of touch and go. We're wondering if we're going to get the votes. But I just think they've done a really good job, and I feel like the route that they have serves a lot of people. And even if you have another means of transportation, it's still sometimes handy. So I think it's made a lot of improvements.
You bet. And the committee's also done they've had some research done on actually the routing to make sure, to get the most possible use on it. And they're also working on new mapping to show the routes and explain it a little better. So they are making improvements in the system. So it is great for those people that do utilize it.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, and Joe also express our gratitude to your council who also supports this, and we couldn't do it without them also. I don't want to leave your council out. So thank you. And the county.
I'll do that. Thank you.
And the county for their support. Our partners.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Jeannie.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Item F, consideration to approve contract number GS-2020-0028 for presiding magistrate services with John Perlman in an annual amount of $42,164.40, budgeted in account number 10-58-51234 magistrate, contractual services, and waive the rule for Rule 2-4-10A prior discussion rule.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was hoping that Judge Perlman would still be here, but I just don't understand I read this contract, and what is this Israel boycott certification that for the duration of this agreement will not engage in a boycott of Israel?
It's Jeannie, do you want to talk about the Israeli boycott?
What is that?
Boilerplate language?
Sure. Councilwoman Giles, that's language that the state of Arizona requires goes into all municipal contracts.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilman Giles, there are some municipalities that have worked in political aspects of boycotting certain aspects of Israeli contracts and things like that. And so our state put something in writing that says that we won't allow a city to put that into any type of contract. So that's our, and so it's I think it's It's something that's just a product of the current political times.
Well, that's kind of sad, I think, but.
Is this the normal salary?
It's been around ever since I was doing contracts at the county. So
Yeah.
it's been around for a while.
And just for clarification, we have no desire to boycott Israel. Okay, so we would not include. Okay.
Well, with that said, I move that we approve Judge Perlman.
So the contract that I'm bringing to you tonight is
Go ahead, Jeannie.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
is another 2-year contract. Okay, there's a lag with Judge Perlman. This contract will run from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022 for an annual amount of $42,164.40.
Mayor, I'd like to move to approve this.
What's that?
I'd like to make the motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second for approval of contract with Magistrate Services. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I will tell you, I've recently sat in a couple of cases with our magistrate, and he is very formal. But welcoming. He's not intimidating. He allows people to who have no court training whatsoever on both sides. The leeway he walks them through the process and makes sure that that they know what they need to do, and he allows them to make their case, and it's very intimidating, but it is wonderful. A lot of times the truth will come out with him through his questioning and demeanor. So I think the city is well served by Judge Perlman. Staff supports renewing this contract, and I did tell him that if he did not wear a mask today, it would be no. So no, he willingly agreed that the chief had asked that Judge Perlman come and do the promotion, and Judge Perlman, it wasn't quite a mask, but it was a face covering that qualified under CDC recommendations. So we're happy to have him down here and down, swearing in.
I have a question.
Mike?
Where does he have his trials? Does he have them here?
Yes, he has them here. It sets up, and the defense and the prosecution, and we have no prosecutor unless we need one, and then he sits up here with Deb and runs his court, and anybody's welcome. I think the dates are mainly Tuesday and Thursday, but we do civil traffic and city code. So all code violations, which is a primary, well, I don't know, I know he does a lot of civil traffic, and Dale's been keeping him busy, but not many people take it to the case to the judge as much as I think they do some of the code and city code violations.
I've sat in on a few of those code violations. They're twice a month. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Sometimes the defendants are here, sometimes they're on the phone. But yeah, you really get to see how the system works.
So does our code enforcer?
Yes, she is presenter on the city side primarily.
What about Dana? Does he get involved in that?
No, because he's going through the zoning administrator. It's a different avenue. So it's zoning administrator, board of appeals, and then circuit court or superior court. But no, the zoning administrator wouldn't go through the magistrate. But my favorite Judge Perlman story is the day they were haggling over whether a property was properly cleaned up, and he's like, well, let's just go take a walk and look at it. And so the whole court got up, and they hiked over to a building on Broad Street to just take a site visit in the middle of the court, and then came back and said, well, it looks to me like, so it's that kind of, Judge Judy has nothing on him. I'll tell you that much. So, anyway, so he serves the city of Globe and the residents well.
Good.
Mayor?
Yes.
So I had the privilege, so when I was on council before, we contracted with the Justice of the Peace to do our city magistrate services. And the problem with that, it wasn't that they weren't trying, it's just that their caseload was so heavy that they kind of had to pick and choose what to take action on behalf of the city. And it just, at some point, some of the things that we wanted to see them take action on just was not happening. And so at that point, we had to reevaluate whether or not that was in the best interest of the city of Grove. And at that point, we took the chance and we partnered and created brought back our city magistrate with Judge Perlman. And I just think that it's worked out well for the city of Grove. I feel like it's more responsive. We're able to take care of issues in a more timely manner. And I do think he's fair. He doesn't always take the city side. He doesn't always take the constituent side. He tries to be fair. And I just think that that's good for the city of Grove.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, one last comment on the bringing back of the magistrate to here. Probably the biggest hurdle in the future of retaining our magistrate is the ongoing elevation of physical requirements of the courtroom that we see, and at some point we may be looking at additional costs to upgrade the court, the chambers, to make sure we meet those requirements, because there's a certain level set by the judicial standards that we meet, and that may be a hurdle we face in the future. But just that's to see what happens in the future. But that is the one issue with our facilities that he uses.
Any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion pass. Do we have any late agenda items to be brought up?
Mr. Mayor, no, we do not.
Shelley, do we have any other call to the public, phone calls or emails? No. Scheduling of meetings?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Mayor. Any additional schedules of meetings?
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Fernando.
I know that we had to postpone the building codes, especially when it pertains to commercial real estate. Is there anything on the future where we're going to hear that again?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Shipley, I am looking at the second meeting in September for that, and we'll get that in there. I don't know that I can get it sooner than that. If I can, let me try. If I can get it on the next meeting, I think we can. So if that's council's preference, we can try to get that on the next meeting. And I'm trying to pull up so that would be the meeting of the 8th, yes. And I believe council had reflected they wanted to go with a simpler presentation, but let me work with council to make sure that I have a presentation that is appropriate and deals with the questions on that, and we can get that on the 8th.
Yeah, Paul, I think there's specific questions that we're going to go with that presentation.
Yep.
I think if we just concentrate on those and not expand it, into...
Right. No, and I'll make sure that I meet the needs of council and direct it as I know that there's some requests out there. So that we'll put that under future agenda item, I think.
So now we go to future agenda items. Anybody have any future agenda items they want to see? Paul, I don't know if it's the next meeting or in the future. It's not something that's hurry, but I don't know, maybe, and I asked council, do we start looking at a plan maybe now that we're seeing a little more opening and the numbers going down? We're seeing some applications being approved in our local bars. In fact, we had one today approved. We have the theaters applying. We have the gyms open. Do we look at maybe opening up a percentage to the public again to attend meetings?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, it is your meeting, and I think it is appropriate. I had a note on here because I'd also like to talk about not only the council meeting. We'd like to. We're implementing the phasing in of the library. Where I think on phase three, where we have reservations, you can call in. I think it's time to look at the museum, and I dare to say I think we ought to have a conversation about Halloween, and I think we
Halloween, yes.
I don't know, I don't know where that's going to, where that's going to fall. It is an event, you know, a holiday wrap based on masks. So what would be a better fit, you know? And if we require masks at Halloween, everybody say, duh. So I think we can find something that would balance that. And I did also would like to let council know we'll be looking in September to bring a year or two report from the police department. We're coming on Dale's second anniversary. Is he smiling back there? It's hard to get him to smile.
Well, that's half. That's
Yeah.
a half.
Yeah. So that, just so he knows, that'll probably be the second September, or the second meeting in September. So, and there's a bunch more stuff we got cooking that we need to get going. But and on the scheduling and meetings, let me just let you know that I do intend to take the week of October 31st off, and so the agenda may be, I know you hate these light agendas where we get out of here early and don't have any E-sessions, but you may, what's that? August 31st through September 3rd, I think it is I'm taking that week. Did I say October? Oh, okay. Okay, August. Yeah, no, I said Halloween on the brain. And so, yeah, no, from August 31st through September 4th. And so we probably won't have a super heavy agenda, but we'll get back to our normal grind on the 15th or the 22nd of September. So, and with lots of presentations.
So what did we decide about the public in our meetings?
I think just to start looking
Yeah,
at
I think-
phasing in, I guess, is
yeah.
what we need. And also the other ones, like the museum, the
Yeah,
library.
yeah, we're, so,
Library is phased in, but-
right. So we're not going to, just to be clear, we're not going to change anything. We'll come back at the first meeting in September in this format as a virtual, but have a plan, and we'll pull a plan together, go through the COVID team, and determine what we think is acceptable and within the guidelines and the current numbers as to a rollout of a partial opening. I think we match what the theaters are doing. I talked to Bobby Hollis. He's doing every other row and spacing people out. 50% capacity, that's what they're required to do. I think I think we're very similar to a theater. And we go with that. And as a discussion, but again, it's not for staff to decide. This is for the mayor and council to decide how you want to have your meetings. You're very progressive and very ahead of the curve on going virtual early on. I think that helped us. I'm so proud to see that we've stuck it out and not slowed down. I know some cities slowed down in their activities, and we didn't have the option to slow down. So we're thank you that the council is serving the staff by keeping this going. So we'll look at that. But no changes for the 8th. Just yep.
It's creeping up.
He's getting the flag up going there.
So,
Okay.
so no E-session.
No E-session.
Call for the vote for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay.
Motion and second for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.